Hmm.
Well, we're approaching a weekend, and of course, next week is Thanksgiving week, and Monday, Tuesday, particularly Tuesday and Wednesday, are busy travel days, so perfect time to have a storm system in the eastern part of the United States. So we'll be talking about that. There's colder air behind it. We'll be talking about that. And we have potential tropical cyclone 22. 22 on the maps tonight. So it's all here on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast for Thursday, the 16th of November, brought to you by Tempest by Weatherflow. Get the revolutionary Tempest weather system, and you too can enjoy the fastest growing observing weather network on the planet. The link is pinned at the top of the chat board. It's also on the description to this video. But use the coupon code I want a weather station. If you do, you'll get.
You'll get 10% off.
And here we are. I'm in Chattanooga at the moment. So I'm coming from the beautiful basement of a friend of mine's house.
That's amazing that technology that we have that you can be most anywhere in the country and still manage to do a show.
Yes, I know it really is. I mean, when you think about it, just the fact that we have our own show. Who would have thought? Who would have thought it 10 years ago? Could have
Yes,
only dreamed of something like this.
that's right.
Well, welcome to everybody tonight on the chat board. I apologize. When I set the show up, I set it up this morning, and I was in the Central Time Zone, but my settings are set to Eastern Time. So I thought that, well, if I set the time to, since my settings are at Eastern Time, I will set my show to Eastern Time. Well, about 20 minutes ago, somebody sent me a message to alert me to the fact that the show said it was starting at 8:35. So that was why it said 8:35. I was in the Central Time Zone when I set it up. So actually, if I was still in the Central Time Zone today, uh, uh, if I was still in the Central Time Zone right now, Joe, I would have had to set the show for 6:35
Right, because they're
because it's
1 hour behind
Central,
Eastern.
right? And it would have showed up in the East as 7:35. It's too many rules. Too many rules. So anyway, welcome to everybody on the chat board, and those of you who are not on the chat board but perhaps lurking in the background. All sorts of famous people are lurking in the background, Joe. But we're going to keep them incognito tonight. Subscribe to my YouTube channel and make sure you turn your notifications on because this way you won't miss this fabulous podcast, which is on Sunday through Thursdays at 7:35 p.m. And if you like the show, hit the like button because Joe and I love it when we get likes, especially if we get over 100 likes. So we're in cruise control, I guess, the way things are shaping up, Mr. Rayo. Doesn't look like we're going to get all that much tomorrow with the low that's developing offshore, passes far enough offshore that it's not an issue. And the cold front maybe produces a few showers, but we're talking what, a tenth of an inch, and then we'll turn colder, but nothing outrageous over the weekend and into Monday. Then we're setting up for what could be. So I think we could, I think it could get pretty rough with heavy rain and gusty winds uh, later Tuesday night into the first part of Wednesday. Now it looks like the cold air is going to come in behind that. We don't have to wait for a second system to move along. But Thanksgiving Day looks dry, and it's going to be cold, I think, for Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah, I think Turkey Day this year will probably. Now, again, about a week ago, in looking way out ahead, I was suggesting clouds and sun, temps mostly in the 30s to near 40, and a blustery cold wind, and maybe even a couple of snow flurries. Now I'm kind of tailing back on the, pulling back on the wind, just going sunny to partly cloudy. The temperatures, though, are going to be, well, considering it tomorrow, we're going to be within a degree or two of 65 here in the Hudson Valley. And on Thanksgiving Day, less than a week later, we're only going to make it to maybe 41 or 42. That's a pretty good drop in the temperature. It's also unseasonably cool or chilly for this time of the year. And Thanksgiving night will be a cold one with temperatures probably down in the upper 20s. So, Yeah, it's going to be turning colder, no question about that. But again, tomorrow, Joe, I mean, we had a beautiful day out there today, and it's going to be another beauty tomorrow, although tomorrow, not quite as sunny. We'll probably start off with sunshine, and then the two systems that'll try to put a squeeze play on us, the cold front to the north and west, the offshore storm, that may bring arriving clouds in here during the afternoon. And you're right, I don't see much in the way of precipitation tomorrow night. Maybe they call it intermittent light showers,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
probably less than a tenth of an inch.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's kind of where I was going. And I was thinking highs on Thanksgiving Day, upper 30s and low 40s.
yeah. Well, yeah, probably somewhere in that vicinity. Yeah,
Yeah,
it'll be a colder sweep of air certainly that's coming in. Although what I think on Wednesday will happen is that Tuesday we'll see clouds, maybe some rain showers, heavier precip for Tuesday night into the first half of Wednesday. Wednesday, I could see temperatures, at least in the early part of the day, still in the 50s, and then probably falling off late and setting the stage for that colder flow for Thanksgiving
all
Day.
right, Jake, you're sitting. Jake is here, Joe. Now, Jake, come on. You're sitting on my mouse. Come on. Hold on. This is Jake. Let's see if he'll stay. Let's get a look at Jake. He's actually a beautiful cat.
Ooh,
He's a good boy, Jake, right? You're a good boy, But you can't sit on my mouse. Go catch another mouse. Up, yep, he went upstairs. What what is it about cats? My old cat used to walk in front every time we'd start the show, Joe. The, my cat would walk in front of the camera. He would just come on. He just knew. As soon as I started the show, he would come running from wherever he was. Excuse me, and he wasn't even union, so I couldn't catch. He couldn't get a fee for coming on. But no matter. Everybody got to meet Jake tonight. So let's get started here and take a look at what appears to be a very messy looking satellite loop because there's a lot of stuff going on, but it's all sort of spread out. It's not really all that, it's not like we have raging big storms going on. But first off, let me just highlight a couple of things here. So right here we have a non-tropical low that is developing off the east coast of Florida, and that's going to pass by well to the east. We've got clouds with this cold front, and that is back through here in the western Great Lakes down into the central plains. We have subtropical Pacific moisture that is moving into southern California and also into southern New Mexico and Texas. Out here, Joe, in the Gulf of Mexico, we've got what's left of a low level circulation that's spinning and moving southward. That brought rain to the immediate Gulf Coast for much of this week. Not a lot of it, but at least it was something. And then down here in the Caribbean, we've got potential tropical cyclone 22, which is probably going to be, if anything, a big heavy rain producer. And we've got various tropical storm watches up for eastern Cuba and for Haiti at the moment.
and that storm that is pulling away now from Florida. I heard some incredible statistics that in portions of South Florida where they have received so far this year over 100 inches of rain,
Yeah.
and in fact, like 60 inches over the normal for portions of South Florida. I mean, that's incredible. That's unbelievable that they've had so much rain, and we've had our fair share of rain up here in the Northeast and in the tri-state area. But my God, 100 inches plus. That's crazy. And now they're moving into December. Hopefully, it'll be a little bit drier when
That's
we
a
get.
lot.
Yeah, that's really a lot.
Right now, for all those weather systems that are around there, there's hardly anything in terms of warnings. There are actually some wind advisories up for parts of southeastern Minnesota, northern Iowa, northwestern Wisconsin, and that's it. I mean, there's no flash flood warnings. There's nothing from that respect. And as we check the radar tonight, We do have some heavy rains going on in the what's that from the central east coast all the way up the mid coast of Florida, all the way up into northeast Florida. We've got patches of heavy rain that are kind of very slowly moving northward. They're really not moving very fast. Otherwise, the radars are quiet in the east and across the Gulf states. We've got some rain moving through Nebraska. We've got some precip aloft in parts of Oklahoma and Wisconsin. So that kind of tells you that the cold front that's coming really isn't doing very much. And then we've got this little area here in northern Baja California, and then moving into southwest Arizona with some patches of heavy rain there and some showers. Looks like some showers scattered around in the interior parts surrounding San Francisco and even northwestward up the coast. But again, this does not look like anything that is too widespread. WPC is doing the rainfall you see here. Forget about tomorrow night and Saturday because it really isn't going to amount to much. So the 99% of this is for late Tuesday into early Wednesday. Yeah, I certainly think this could be an 1.5 to 2 inch rain producer with this the system for the first part of next week.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think most of that is actually going to come Tuesday night. And I guess that's a saving grace because it looks like by the time we get to Wednesday, Getaway Wednesday, for a lot of people who will be taking flights or getting in their cars and traveling for the Thanksgiving holiday, the worst of it will probably be behind us by midday and afternoon on Wednesday. But yeah, it looks like we could see quite a bit of rain coming our way. We haven't really, tell you the truth, we haven't really had all that much locally over the last week or 10 days. So this will be kind of a change, if you will, toward the bygone days of July and September when we got hit with tremendous amounts of rainfall.
It's going to be very quiet. The only thing is for Tuesday. Tuesday, I think, could get rough with wind and rain. Tuesday, with the southeast wind, I'm wondering whether the gradient may tighten up enough that there might even be it might be wind advisory criteria. We'll have to look at that as we go through the weekend. But what could possibly happen is that problems that will develop Tuesday might feed back into Wednesday if there are delays or cancellations on Tuesday. So
right.
And of course, if you're driving through all of this, if you're driving up and down anywhere up and down the eastern seaboard or you're going west, if you could go on Monday, it might be better. Let's put it that way. If you wait till Wednesday, you'll be going with just about everybody else. So it's a problematic choice. But most areas east of the Mississippi are going to get probably at least 3/4 of an inch to an inch. And you see that purple area from northern Alabama across northern Georgia. Yippee! I hope so. 1.5 to 2 inch rains in there. They go up the western Carolinas. A lot of where there's heavy rain in the southeast and is in areas that are under severe drought or even extreme drought right now. Northern Alabama, northern Georgia, western South and North Carolina, and on up into Virginia. So this is a bit of a blessing, even though it does come maybe could have come on a better week than Thanksgiving week, but they come when they come.
Well, it's again, it's good that it, and you're right too, because there may be a lot of stacking, so to speak, of flights, delayed flights, spilling over into that Wednesday. So, but better it go that way as opposed to actually having all of that rain and all of that wind occur on the actual travel day.
Right.
So just, beggars can't be choosers. We'll take the lesser of two evils, I guess, for next week.
We don't want to forget our friends on the West Coast that are going to have periods of wet weather over the next 7 days. Hold on. This cat is walking on my keyboard. He's going to send this show into oblivion. We've got half-inch amounts pretty far down the coast into California, going all the way up the West Coast, half-inch to an inch, even some areas with 1.5 inches. Now, as far as snow is concerned, there isn't a whole lot of it happening in the east That continues, and it's not a big deal. It's not a surprise. It's middle of November. There's an area up in Maine where we could see, northernmost Maine, 40 to 50% probability of at least two. There are higher probabilities indicated in the west, not a lot, but some areas at 50% or a little bit higher in western half of Colorado, in central Utah, into western Wyoming and eastern Idaho, then going up into northern Idaho, and also in the Cascades and in the Sierra Nevadas. But we're not looking at any kind of crazy winter storms here. It's certainly not even enough to put up winter weather advisories in the mountains, even though the criteria is high. And by the way, I do have a question to ask you about that. So let me finish the snowfall for the long range. So this is Sunday into Monday. West of Denver, western Colorado, pretty much the same areas that you saw in the 3-day forecast. Probability for at least two. This is the probability of maybe 2 or 3 inches at least. And we've got some areas of 50 to 70% in the darker blues showing up, and even a little patch of 70 to 90 there in western Colorado. But it's a little more active for Monday. Tuesday, not showing much at all on Tuesday, and then Wednesday there might be some lake effect behind this system on Wednesday in and around the Great Lakes, and also probably in upstate New York uh, and maybe some backside snows up in northern New England. So this map is Tuesday into Wednesday. I'm sorry, the one before was Monday into Tuesday. So this is Tuesday into Wednesday, and then Wednesday into Thursday. It gets a little busier here with the snow around north central New York and also in southwestern New York, western Michigan, the upper peninsula of Michigan. So that's all lake effect stuff that might happen. But still, that's 8 days away. Ow, ow!
Yeah, you could see
I'm sorry,
the lake effect.
six
You can see
days
the
away.
lake effect in the lower peninsula of Michigan on that map as the winds blow from west to east across Lake Michigan. There may be on the western side of the lower peninsula quite a bit of lake effect activity, and then also that spills over into places from Buffalo on south off of Lake Erie, and also for places like Watertown, New York, getting it from across from Lake Ontario. That would be for again late Wednesday night and into Thursday. So if you're planning to go over the river and through the woods to Grandma's house, if you live in a zone of potential lake effect activity, you may just need that sleigh to get to Grandma's on Turkey Day.
Yes. All right. Well, we got it. The upper air hasn't really changed very much in terms of the overall pattern for the next 10 days or longer. Keep seeing troughs dropping in the east. We keep seeing troughs dropping right along 160. The eastern troughs and the troughs out at 160 degrees west, that's the longitude of the westernmost Hawaiian Islands, they seem to drop in right around the same time. So the next one, this is for what's coming up for tomorrow and Saturday, and you can see the two troughs there. And there's also some troughing along the west coast, and then going into parts of the Intermountain region. The trough in the east lifts up on Monday, and now you've got energy that's coming off the Pacific into the southwestern plains. That starts to come out, and here comes a northern feature between Great Slave Lake and Lake Winnipeg that grabs all of this, and this is what makes this storm system for Tuesday. The upper low gets wrapped up pretty nicely, so that brings down some colder air. We've got a blocky look there up in northern Canada into the Arctic and back over southern Greenland out to the Azores. The upper low holds through next Friday, then it lifts out, and we've got another upper trough that comes in for the last day of November. And then that lifts out, and who knows what happens after that. But the bottom line is, at least through the end of the month, the pattern we have is the pattern we have. So everything's going to just continue to roll along in that mode. And as far as the surface goes, I want to bring up the surface map here. Take a look at that. And of course, we've got this high offshore. You have the rain that's in Florida and off the Florida coast. You can't really see the tropical system there. Here's your me just mark it out so you can see it. There's your cold front that's moving east. The low that's forming off the Florida East Coast is going to go up the coast and offshore. And there's a swirl out off the coast of California. Then some of that stuff's going to be coming inland. Again, all of what you see here is weak. And then we're kind of, I love when this happens, where you got a front with showers that's loaded with showers in the western part of Pennsylvania and upstate New York. You got this coastal low, and then there's that area in between to tomorrow evening. I don't think eastern Pennsylvania to southern New England, I don't think is going to see any rain through the daytime tomorrow.
It's quite possible. In fact, I was looking at Renata had something to do out of doors early Saturday, and she wanted to know if it was going to be raining or showering. The GFS still had showers around until about 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, but the NAM, as you were about to point out, Joe, the NAM completely dry. The offshore system going its own way, and the trough with the front to the north and west kind of veering away off to the north, or in such a manner so that the rain associated with that missed the Hudson Valley and stays well north of here. So if we do get precipitation Friday night, tomorrow night into Saturday morning, again, it's likely to be rather light, probably on the order of 1/10 of an inch or less. And I agree with you. There are going to be some places that may not get a drop of rain or snow or sleet or whatever out of this.
Yeah, the low starts to deepen, and I guess there must be maybe a little bit of subsidence between the front and the low, because the showers just kind of tail off Friday night, and just maybe clips eastern Pennsylvania, northwest New Jersey. They get a bit more in the Hudson Valley further north into Vermont, New Hampshire, and then it just becomes almost like a stick of showers Saturday morning. That, except for central Connecticut down to Long Island, it's all done. And then you see the low offshore, which of course strengthens as it moves well east of Cape Cod and heads its way on up south of Nova Scotia. Maybe some snow in inland New Brunswick. Here comes the energy now into the west, and you could take a look at this with the low off the coast of California, sweeping some rain in, and then a frontal boundary, probably a giant occluded front from an offshore low in the Pacific that swings into Washington and Oregon. Now that energy quickly jumps over the Rockies on Sunday. You see that low there in northern Oklahoma. You've got a nice 1029 high north of Lake Superior. That's going to move its way into Quebec, but it keeps on going. And your surface low gets to southern Illinois. This is Tuesday morning. By Tuesday afternoon, from New York City south, it's loaded with rain and some patches of heavy rain. Your lows in northern Indiana. Snow up in Wisconsin. Probably might be, that actually might wind up putting down some accumulating snows there, I think. And I don't know that I buy this front end idea that the GFS has this front end sleet and snow for the Catskills, and then it's got darker blue. Well, I guess maybe the darker blue snows that show up in northeastern New York and Vermont, New Hampshire, and even into Massachusetts. But look at that. It's got a huge patch of heavy rain. This is the actual radar that the GFS I'm showing here. Between 1 a.m. and 7 a.m. on Tuesday night into early Wednesday morning. I mean, it just gets clobbered with heavy rain there. And then it's done. And the gradient is ahead of it. There's not a whole lot of gradient. There's some gradient behind it.
Right.
But not. It's tight around where the low is. So, I mean, if you're going to Chicago on Wednesday, if you're flying to Chicago, I'm sure there's going to be some wind issues up in and around the Great Lakes and the northern Ohio Valley. But the wind issues for New York and Pennsylvania, I think, and then eventually and into New England, all come ahead of this as the low interacts with the big high going out.
Yeah, it almost looks like the front is acting like a crowbar, so to speak, and prying out whatever chilly air is out ahead of it. And that might be why initially the GFS is showing some frozen precip just north of the just north of the Hudson Valley, or actually not north of the Hudson Valley because the Catskills might be considered a part of the Hudson Valley, but still, all of that squeezing, if you will, and causing the gradient to tighten up a bit. But you're right, once all that goes by, the gradient lightens up quite a bit. That's good news, I guess, if you're going to be part of the parade on Thursday, because they're going to be holding those big balloons, and last thing you want is a really strong, gusty wind. Although I guess the wind might pick up again after Thanksgiving, maybe on Black Friday.
Yeah, I mean, it'll probably be on the breezy side Wednesday, and also for Thursday might be a little bit breezy. I don't think it'll be windy. It will be windy around the Great Lakes because that low's still there. By the way, if you're flying out to the West Coast, or if you're watching from the West Coast and you have to come east, you might want to think about staying on the West Coast, because the western half of the United States looks pretty quiet for much of next week, although there is some precip that comes into the Northwest on Thursday, on Thanksgiving Day, but it's not anything crazy, sort of patchy there with a low that's coming out. Now, this run longer range, because of what's going on in the upper air, is trying to shoot out energy. Now we're in the weekend after Thanksgiving, and there's this little low with an area of snow in Kansas and Missouri, and of course it falls apart before it even gets to the Ohio Valley. Then it tries again on Saturday night, Sunday, with some overrunning precip in Texas and Oklahoma, with some ice and snow on the northern fringe, and then tries to run that eastward, and it mostly falls apart before by the time it gets to the East Coast. Has a little blue there in northern New Jersey and up into the Catskills on that Sunday night. And then it's got another system on Tuesday, and this one is with, shoots out a low that comes up the Appalachians, and then suddenly it's off the New Jersey coast and showing snow for the northern half of Pennsylvania and for interior New York State and interior New England. Too far out to figure whether that's that is the case or not. But the main focus really is going to be Tuesday into Wednesday of next week. That looks like, just backing up. I mean, this is tonight, so let's go back to Tuesday. I mean, you've got active weather, Joe. Tuesday, you've got active weather in the Gulf states. Maybe potential for some severe weather on the southern end of that front that moves across Tennessee and Alabama and Mississippi, and then eventually into Georgia. Aside from the heavy rains that are also going to be going on in parts of Indiana and Michigan. So, this system is going to have impact over a large area of geography.
And yeah, so again, as I said, maybe the lesser of two evils to get it all out of the way by early Wednesday. I'm thinking on Tuesday, Joe, I'm thinking that by evening, for much of the tri-state area, we will have already picked up about a quarter of an inch. Then we'll probably Tuesday night pick up another inch to an inch and a quarter, and then maybe lingering showers, maybe another tenth or a quarter of an inch early on Wednesday. But again, the worst of it will be behind us, and the worst of it will probably be on Tuesday night. Maybe some people out there saying, well, I'm not going to leave on Wednesday. Wednesday's terrible, a travel day. I'm going to leave on Tuesday or Tuesday night.
Leave on
probably
Monday.
Better Tuesday night, yeah. And boom, they run right into the problem of the wind and the rain for Tuesday night.
All right, potential tropical cyclone 22. If you think back, for how long was the GFS putting Category 3 and even on a few runs Category 4 hurricanes in the Caribbean and crossing Cuba? Well, it ain't going to be a hurricane. This is going to be a weak tropical storm that'll probably form, and then, of course, it gets involved somehow with all the stuff that's going on off the southeast coast, which is non-tropical, so the model sort of loses it. I mean, you can still kind of follow it along, but the main issue, is going to be heavy rains for eastern Cuba and for Haiti and the Dominican Republic, because this does look like, just to go back to the satellite loop, I mean, it does, you got all the, it's a broad low, and you've got all these bands of rain and some heavier rains that are advecting northward as the low center moves northward. We don't see like a tight area here. This is pretty well spread out. And NHC at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time potential tropical cyclone 22. So the next name is the V name. What's the
It would
V?
be the penultimate name.
Yes, what is the V
Vince.
name?
Vince.
Oh, it is Vince. Okay.
Yes.
And what's the W?
That I don't know. I don't have. I don't have
Oh,
the
I'm
list
just
in front
guessing.
of me.
All right, I was just
I just
wondering.
happen to know that V is Vince. So
Right, 15-7. So it's pretty far south of the Caribbean. It's kind of parallel to the east coast of Honduras. 15.
anybody on the chat board know what the W name would be if we got down that far? I'm sure somebody will come up with that.
Yeah.
Greg
15.
Carberg, we know it's Vince. Yes.
Yeah, 15-7, 81.4. Top winds are 35 miles an hour, moving north-northeast at 9. And you can see the track is generally northeastward. And then, of course, it's going to get involved with everything that's going on off the East Coast. So once it comes out the other side on Saturday into the Bahamas, it's going to pretty much accelerate to the northeast or just get absorbed by the developing storm well to the north of it. The yellow areas, Jamaica, Haiti, the eastern part of Cuba, and the southeast Bahamas right now, all under tropical storm watches. And who knows, maybe they'll have to go for a warning. But again, it's the big issue here is going to be um, wind and I'm sorry, rain and not wind.
Christopedia and Craig Carberg both confirming with each other. W storm would be Whitney.
Whitney. Okay, very
Whitney.
good.
No latex streams. It's not Wilma.
Yes. What is any? Because I can't see the chat board, Joe. So do we? I thought I saw a super chat.
We've had
beforehand.
We have three super chats tonight, Joe. The chairman, that was number one, who also says that the super chat is not necessarily from him, but from Mother Briller.
Oh, thank you, Mother Briller.
Louis Orizio and Bogey's Bees. It's been a while since we've heard from Bogey, but he hit the tip jar tonight as well.
All right. So we're going to wrap up this show tonight. I just want to say very quickly that the reason why we didn't have a show last night was because my mother passed away Tuesday morning. So I had to drive to Mississippi, and it was. I'm sorry. What was that?
Ken Musillo apparently also hit the chat
Oh,
board.
okay.
Now here's another super chat from the chairman, the second of the night, again from Mother Briller.
Thank you so much. So anyway, my mom passed away, and I've gotten folks that have sent me messages here and there, and I really do appreciate it. Thank you very much. It's just been kind of a hectic couple of days, Joe. So, and there's probably going to be some more hecticness. Just to let everybody know, there's probably going to be some more disruptions down the road. So just to let everybody know. But if we've got to move the schedule around, we'll do it. But anyway, my mom is gone, and she was 89. 89. So, it's very difficult, especially when you have someone that was ill for a long time.
Yeah, I can empathize with that. Yeah.
All right. So we're going to leave it at that, folks. Have a great Friday and a great Saturday. We'll be back on Sunday at 7:35 p.m. Eastern Time. So mark it all down. I will be in the Eastern Time zone, so there won't be any mistakes there. So we'll see you on Sunday. Have a great weekend. Good night.
Good night, everybody, and we'll see you on Sunday.
Okay, done.